Today, we are honored to have one with us. We'll get into the introduction of him in just a few moments. Actually, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, which we encourage you to do so, then we will. Then you will be able to see all this on our Facebook page. That's WBVP-WMBA Facebook. Joan Shannon joins us now. She is with the New Brighton Historical Society. She's a fundraiser, but much more than that. Her family has been involved in the Historical Society in New Brighton for many years. Her mother was a big advocate of the New Brighton Historical Society, and we just continue to learn more and more about the history of New Brighton as the years go by. They're always unearthing some artifact or a new tunnel in New Brighton. Joan, welcome to the program. It's good to have you here again.
Thank you.
Welcome, and you have a guest with you this morning as well?
I do have a guest with me today. I have Stephen Cole, and he is from Michigan, and he's here this weekend to help us with the Underground Railroad, and he is impersonating Frederick Douglass for us.
Yeah, it's amazing that we have Mr. Douglass with us this morning, because down the hall from where you guys are sitting, Harriet Tubman is in the house.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Miss Val McKelvey, who has portrayed Harriet Tubman and many historical figures over the years, is down there recording her show for Sunday afternoon.
Perfect.
Yes,
she's good. She's has joined our tour a couple times.
Yeah, I don't think she's in character today, but nonetheless, maybe she'll drop in on us.
There you go.
Frederick Douglass, welcome to Beaver County.
Thank you. My good friend Harriet is here, you say.
She is.
We helped many an escaped slave to find their way to freedom. And my good friend Joan, I'm so proud of her. I have defended then and defend now the fact that women are the owners of themselves, and they need to be able to represent their own ideas and interests in the political sphere. Women can disagree with men and get along just fine.
That's amazing, because what we may know about you is vast, but we weren't aware that you were a proponent of women's rights many years before it became popular.
Yes, I hold near and dear to my heart the efforts that I was able to be a part of that great movement.
And Joan, I don't know if he will go in and out of character, and I could talk with him about how he got involved in all this.
Yes, he could go
you
in and out of here.
That?
Yes.
Wasn't sure exactly how we would go about that.
Yeah.
But when did you start portraying Frederick Douglass?
My hometown is Freeport, Illinois, which was one of the sites of the Lincoln-Douglas debates. And prior to the Lincoln-Douglas debates, actually 4 years, Frederick Douglass came to my hometown to visit a friend of his that was also an abolitionist. And on that visit, he heard Stephen A. Douglass give a speech following the passing of the Kansas-Nebraska bill. Mm-hmm. And Stephen A. Douglass then mentions having seen Frederick 4 years later during the Lincoln-Douglas debates. And as I researched that, then I felt a need to not only portray, but try to help people to visualize and have some understanding of Frederick Douglass's impact on American society.
I can't help but notice that your name is Stephen A. Cole. Were you named after Stephen Douglass?
That is on his behalf, S-T-E-P-H.
Oh, okay.
And
all
on
right.
my behalf, S-T-E-V-E-N. So no.
What is it like as you travel the country and speak of Frederick Douglass and portray Frederick Douglass? What's the reaction from people?
Well, I think that people find it interesting when they see living history presenters whether in Civil War reenactments, and we speak at middle schools and high schools and use the period clothing and wardrobe to enhance our ability to teach history to young people so they can come to a better understanding of just how great this nation is.
Yeah. Have we been lacking in our educational system of educating the students about early history of the United States, and especially slavery?
Some other things have taken precedence, and then there's some that is lack of understanding. There's no real need to rewrite history because the actual history is incredibly interesting.
Mm-hmm. Joan, how did you come upon bringing Mr. Douglas here to New Brighton?
He was here a couple years ago with the Darlington Historical Society, and I just remembered him in his fiery speeches, and as we were researching New Brighton's history too, he did a lot of speeches there in New Brighton. So it just was a perfect fit for us to have him come back and join us this year for this walking tour. Each year we're trying to grow the tour a little bit. So we added Friday night on with a speaker, and that has been sold out. It's sold out quickly. And then this year also, as he was talking about period clothing, we have our docents dressed in period clothing this year too.
Docents.
Yes. So we have, as you go on the tour, you'll have the conductors, as we call them, and those are the people that will take you from house to house to house. But at the house, we have docents that are dressed in period clothing that will tell you about the person that lived in that house and the history of that.
As part of New Brighton history, did Frederick Douglass live in New Brighton for a period of time?
No, he did not,
No?
but he visited quite often.
Okay.
So he and Sarah Lippincott were very close, and we were just talking about that on the ride up here, about that.
Who is this Sarah Lippincott that she speaks of?
Well, go ahead and tell her about your friend there.
Well, she is one of the people here who was so far ahead of her time, and she was a descendant of one of the theologians and preachers during the Great Awakening, and she became interested in literature and in writing, and began writing poems, and eventually became a journalist, and was so visual and fluid in her writing skills that she even went on to have articles in the New York Times on a regular basis. But what was most notable for me was that when I was in the Pennsylvania area and in the Beaver County area, I happened to be on a paddle boat journey, and around dinner time, I entered into the dining area and was immediately accosted by someone who told me that I was not welcome in that area because of my color. Well, my good friend, Sarah Jane, which I like to refer to her, she refused also to eat in those quarters if they would not allow me. And that type of activism is so impressive because aren't we all Americans?
Yeah. Very interesting points. Some of the things that we're still debating today, all these years later. And Joan, as far as New Brighton is concerned, I know your family has been heavily involved in this pursuit of history in New Brighton for many years. In fact, your brother lives in a home that.
Yes, my brother lives in the William Penn home. It's up on Penn Avenue, Dr. Lambert. And my parents bought that house back in 1962, 63. It was supposed to be condemned and it was going to be torn down, but they saved it and kept it in the family. and now it's his. But in that house is a hidden room. If you go up to his attic, and there's a latch that goes to the roof. If you climb up this ladder and you turn around halfway through the ladder, there's a wall, a hidden wall board. If you knock that down, there's a hidden room in there. So we believe that is where the slaves have been hidden. And then he also had a metal detector guy come up, and they found a slave coin there that tells us that, yes, there was actually activity there too.
New Brighton is a wonderful place, and I don't know that there's any other area, and maybe Beaver perhaps, but has such a historical significance as New Brighton.
Yeah, Bridgewater has some history there too.
Yeah.
But New Brighton has probably the most documented here in Beaver County.
And just recently, in the last couple of years, you've unearthed more history.
Yes, we have. We have, we purchased the Irish Townsend House,
Right.
and found out that that's part of the Underground Railroad too. So we purchased that house, and that's going to be our headquarters eventually once we get it up and running. So that will be on the tour, and you'll be able to go into that house on this tour.
I've recently been to New Brighton, the Candy Castle there on the corner, and
Yeah.
looked up the hill, and I see scaffolding
Yes.
around the Irish Townsend House.
Yes, we're getting a new porch, and flooring is being installed. It's still being installed. We were hoping to have it done by this tour, but how things go with that. But so that's our next phase, and then our heating, water, and AC. We're going to be getting that in next.
And in terms of bringing Mr. Cole as Frederick Douglass to New Brighton for the speeches, you also had mentioned that Dr. Lawrence Glasgow is going to be there and give a speech this evening.
Yes, he will be there also. So we have Dr. Glasgow, who will be coming in and speaking first. He's from Pitt. He's a professor from Pitt, and he will be talking about how the migration of the slaves up into Pittsburgh and how they settled there, and how the north side was influenced by them.
Mm-hmm. And you have to have tickets for all these events.
Correct. There's we're having it at the Merrick Art Gallery, so
This is sold out tonight.
It's sold out. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of space there, so it was sold out quickly. But yeah, you have to have tickets for tonight's speech.
Okay. But for the tour tomorrow, you do not?
No, for the tour tomorrow, there's no tickets, sorry. There's no tickets needed. It starts at 9 o'clock till 2. We run tours every 15 minutes, 30 people into a tour. So most people try to come early, so you get backed up. So if you want to come a little bit mid-morning to early afternoon, you'll probably be able to slide right in quickly, not have to wait around.
And how many people are you expecting? Do you know what you anticipate?
In the past, we've been averaging about 700 plus people. Yeah.
Great. And probably even more interest because of the tunnel they found under the Merrick.
Yes, that sparked a lot of interest there with Merrick's finding of the tunnel under their property there. You will be able to look at the tunnel because we end at Merrick, our tour ends at Merrick, but you will not be able to go into the tunnel, but you'll be able to see the entrance, and there's pictures and all of that there. So yes.
Yeah, and have you determined whether it is authentic and related to the?
No, they have not. They're still digging some of the stuff out and reinforcing it. They are looking to get some people in from Pittsburgh area and do some research on that.
But we'll continue. Tomorrow's going to be a perfect day weather-wise.
Yes, it is. Thank goodness.
Yeah, it certainly is. We'll speak more with Frederick Douglass and Joan Shannon from the New Brighton Historical Society. There is a tour going on tomorrow, and we're very excited about being a part of it. In fact, I'll be doing a live broadcast from the J&J Spratt Funeral Home on 3rd Avenue beginning at 10. And there are no tickets. It's free, so you can join us for that. And that's where actually the tours begin. At the Spratt Funeral Home.
It starts at the Spratt Funeral Home.
Yeah, we had Michael Spratt on here not too long ago, and he was talking about their building and the historical nature of it.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to go into that one tomorrow also.
Do people, do a lot of the folks in New Brighton, since they've been learning about these things, do they say, I wonder if my home was a part of that?
We get a
historical-"
lot of that, yeah. And I think almost every house has a tunnel too.
Does it? Or they think it does.
They think it does, yeah.
That'd be a good thing to scare the kids with. You have kids around the house. You say, behave or you're going to go down in the basement. All right, we'll continue our conversation. Matt Dursick is coming up with a look at news headlines and sports. Robert Mangino has a sports preview for tonight. We have football action. As you know, our game of the week this week is going to be Aliquippa at Ambridge, plus many of other games. We'll keep you up to date on the scores of those games as we go forward as well. But a very, very important program is going on with the New Brighton Historical Society. They're having a sold-out performance tonight, a reading and welcoming Dr. Lawrence Glasgow. His talk is going to be After They Got Here, the remarkable accomplishments of Pittsburgh's runaway slaves. And tomorrow, as part of the tour, you've got Frederick Douglass, portrayed by Stephen Cole. You're going to be making an appearance tomorrow night as well, or tonight as well. Yes. Very good. We'll get back to them in this talk about history in New Brighton coming up. But first, let's get news headlines and sports from Matt Dursick.
Thank you, Mike. Coming up at 9:05 from the WBVP News Desk, State Senator Elder Vogel visits the men's shelter in Vanport. The resignation of a senior advisor to Governor Shapiro adds a new twist. A man is charged with assault following a stabbing in New Brighton. And a Pennsylvania state executive from the Sharon area is having his last day of work today following a 33-year career. All that more coming up at 9:05 from the WBVP News Desk. Beaver County weather forecast is calling for partly cloudy skies today and a high of 74 degrees. And tonight's going to be mostly clear with a low of 60. Currently in Beaver County on this Friday, September 29th, it is 56 degrees with partly cloudy skies. In sports, the Pirates avoid a sweep and win their 75th game of the season with a 3-2 victory in Philadelphia against the Phillies. The final series of the season begins tonight at PNC Park against the Miami Marlins at 6:35.